Good morning and welcome to Morning Trade with Money Control. I'm Karunya Rao and I'm here to help you navigate today's trading session with actionable strategies, sectoral trends and most importantly, answer all your stock queries. Before we get kick-started, let's see what the global handover looks like. Europe markets closed in the green, having struggled to build on positive momentum seen at the end of last week. DAX outperformed peers, ending 0.7% higher, while Stoxx 600 was up 0.2%. US President Joe Biden signs the Inflation Reduction Act into law, making major changes to health policy and the largest climate investment in American history, while also additionally taxing corporations to reduce the deficit. Stocks on Wall Street close mixed. The Dow Jones records 5 straight days of gains and S&P 500 also closes higher, while the Nasdaq outperforms. Stocks in Asia, meanwhile, trade mixed with Japan's Nikkei outperforming. For our own markets, SGX Nifty signals a positive start for D Street. Stocks in the spotlight today: Adani Transmission, Max Healthcare, Bharat Gas and Techno Electric. Shares of several PSU banks have started to look up. Are there more legs to this recovery? We analyze later on the show. All right, let's get started with the markets and talk technicals with Shivangi Sarza of Motilal Oswal. Morning, Shivangi. Tell us what the cues are telling you about the day forward. What should we expect?
Good morning, Karunya. So, we've seen that the Nifty index has been cheering at higher levels. Yesterday, we opened gap up, but although, we remained in a very consolidated range of around 75 points throughout the session. So even though, it was a slight dull day, but it was sustaining at higher levels. And even after the initial tick ease off, it again picked up in the last hour of the session and closed with good gains. So, overall, the sentiment is quite positive. And now till it holds 17,777, it could move up to 18,000 and 18,200 marks. So we have a very crucial support at 17,777, which was seen, respecting even yesterday's session. So this is one level which we should watch out for. India VIX is again comforting the bulls and needs to sustain at lower levels for the continued market stability. So the overall view is positive, and any decline could be used as a buying opportunity.
All right, that's heartening to know. Good momentum in the markets last few days. But let's talk about some stocks that could be in the limelight today on back of some news developments. And first up, I'd like to bring out Adani Transmission. It has crossed 4 trillion rupees market cap for the first time ever. And with this milestone, it's going to be the second Adani Group company and the 15th Indian listed firm to hit this landmark of 4 trillion rupees. Let's talk about the technicals of Adani Transmission. Of course, the entire group has been very strong and resilient last few months. But this particular counter, what do the technicals tell you?
So looking at the chart structure of Adani Transmission, this stock has continuously made higher highs from the last 10 weeks. So, quite a lot of positive action over here and sustained buying over here. We've seen supports have gradually shifted higher over the last 2 to 3 months, which is quite positive because every small decline is being utilized for buying. So this stock is definitely positive and it should hold at higher levels and to move higher up to, 3,650 levels. So this is again another target which is coming up for this stock.
Okay. Next stock on our radar is another one which has some news developments, and that's Bharat Gas. 19th August is when the board will be meeting to consider a bonus issue. Let's see how that pans out. But in the run-up to that, next couple of days, what do you foresee for Bharat Gas?
Looking at this chart structure, of course, this stock has been one stock which has been quite volatile, if you must say, in terms of it's been quite a high beta stock, but with, some little shallow volume. So right now from the last 4 sessions, we've seen quite a lot of run up in the volumes as well. So this stock is definitely positive, but I see some resistance at around 158 levels. So, once it crosses this levels, it should touch more, higher levels. But definitely from this level, we can reach 158 quite easily.
Okay, all right. Next one I'd like to flag off is Techno Electric. Again, they've backed some orders from the government of Rajasthan. One is worth 666 crore rupees from Rajasthan Rajya Vidyut Utpadan Nigam, which is in Kota. Another order that they've won is worth 790 crore rupees. Again, from Rajasthan Rajya Vidyut. This one is from Jhalawar. So overall, good order inflow coming in for a Techno Electric, close to 1500 crore rupees. Let's talk technicals and tell us what kind of a move do you forecast?
So Techno Electrical, looking at the chart structure, it has been quite a lot of a weakness from the last, 6 to 7 weeks. So, and even on weekly frame, it is, it breached its 50 exponential moving average, which is kind of crucial. So I believe there is some sort of weakness which can be seen over here. Some more downside here because some fresh shorts were initiated yesterday. So this stock might see a little more downside than, again for a reversal.
Okay, all right. And the final stock in focus as far as Stoxx and news is concerned will be Max Healthcare. GIC as well as Capital Group have bought KKR's entire stake in Max Healthcare, and this is worth 26.8%. So KKR has exited their holdings, selling it off to GIC and Capital Group. Let's talk about Max Healthcare. Yesterday, almost 10% up. In fact, last 1 month chart has been quite phenomenal as far as the move is concerned. Is the run rate going to continue?
So Max Health saw, an outside bar yesterday. It completely, filled in quite a lot of range yesterday. And looking at the, candlestick yesterday, it was a price and volume spurt. And I believe this momentum should continue, but there, might be some profit booking at higher levels. So one is advised to, keep the trailing stop loss and, keep adjusting the trailing stop loss and keep a, close watch on this stock.
Okay, all right, Shivangi, thanks for that. I want to shift gears and talk about PSU banking stocks as well, because that's something that we want to focus on today. And there's been a good rebound, a good recovery from those rock bottom valuations. Talk to us about some of these names, whether it's an SBI, Canara Bank, Bank of Baroda, or any other names that you find attractive at the current levels from a technical standpoint.
So, it's quite, positive that the PSU banks, the way they've picked up, even in yesterday's session, despite of all the dullness, in the overall banking index. So, if you talk about PSU banks, I believe SBI, which saw a slight retracement, but it respected its moving average and again is ready to move higher. SBI is one bank among the PSU space, which is quite positive. The second, which is quite promising, is Canara Bank, but it needs to surpass 235 levels, and after which we could see quite a lot of run up over here and good rally, which can be seen over here. So PSU, Canara Bank, and SBI is a must watch for today.
All right. In fact, PSU Banks is something even we standpoint, and I want to take it across to my other guest. Shivangi, request you to stay on with us. Vikas Gupta is here from Omniscience Capital, and he's here to talk about specifically PSU Banks. Vikas, thank you for joining in. We've seen a very strong recovery, like I was flagging off to Shivangi as well. But the question is, are there more legs to this recovery? Will these stocks build onto the gains that they've seen in the recent past?
So from a fundamental point of view, you can see number of things improving, right, for PSU banks. You start from the, provisioning. Okay, so everyone is provisioning very, very strongly. And as you go ahead, there might be a lot of reversals in at least the stronger banks, right? So when you see reversal of the provisioning and you see reduction in the provisioning, your earnings are going up. So there is a improving earnings scenario, improving ROE scenario, right? Improving ROE is further supported by improving operational efficiencies, right? And most PSU banks are just getting started. I mean, one or two largest ones are very strongly digital, but the remaining are just starting their digital journey. They're starting it on a very, very strong footing, some of the larger ones. But the effect of that on the earnings and revenues is yet to be seen. So as you see those things, you will see improving ROEs, which means improving earnings, so probably accelerating faster than the revenue growth. And revenue growth itself, there is a huge opportunity over the next 3 to 5 years, right? Something like $300 billion kind of capital investments from government and private sector over the next 3 to 5 years. And a lot of that is going to come to PSU banks. So traditional capital growth wise, of course, the demand wise, they have a huge opportunity. But I would like to point out the fintech and digital opportunity, which is also there. Because normally we think of fintechs as the new age guys, but already the war is being won by the private banks compared to the fintechs. But now the digital guys, the PSU banks are also entering digital. So that is something I would watch out for.
Yeah, definitely. And even PSU banks are, now trying to upgrade their tech and their retail consumer interface as far as online presence is concerned. But let's talk about investor sentiment. Are more sophisticated market participants and investors willing to bet on PSU banks after, government initiatives, the cleanup that the government has done of many of these banks? And more importantly, is the balance sheet for these banks strong enough to support the growth and the growth run rate?
Yeah, so surprisingly, I mean, the balance sheets are extremely strong now compared to a couple of years back. Okay. So all the bankers have been hard at work, it seems, in cleaning up the balance sheet. So balance sheet wise, it's very strong. Capital wise, they look adequate. Most of the larger PSU banks. And they want to capitalize on the growth. So that is very, very clearly there, that they feel that they have very strong balance sheets. They are interested in growing. They are growing, and they continue working on new initiatives, like I mentioned, the digital part. That is something which I see a very strong foundation in some of the larger ones, who are still not there fully in digital, but they just launched. So that looks very, very promising to me. And we've not even talked about valuations. Okay. I'm just talking fundamental improvements.
Yeah, in fact, I was going to nudge you towards that. How are the valuations looking for some of these large lenders like SBI, BOB, PNB, Canara Bank? What is your sense? Yeah,
so I mean, the valuations are as if the whole book is lost, right? Whatever is marked out as stressed assets, as if you're going to lose all of them, right? For most of the banks, it is valued in that manner. But it looks like they are recovering strongly, a lot of these stressed assets. So all the stressed assets cannot be written off. And there is growth. So definitely the expected higher ROEs and the expected growth, that is absolutely not incorporated, because people are used to all these banks, having losses or high provisioning and low profits, and definitely extremely low ROEs. So there is double whammy there, right? You are incorporating low earnings. Then you are incorporating, and then you are incorporating stressed assets. All of that is bringing down the price to book. And on top of it, you are incorporating a low quality, that the ROE, the competitive advantages are low. But we know that this is still an oligopoly banking, and PSU banking even more so. Certain sectors, PSUs get the first opportunity to lend. And so the ROEs, once they improve, the re-rating has to be on a higher quality, right? So there is a lot of legs to go. First, improving book quality, then improving ROEs, which means higher earnings, and then the market perception that, okay, now they are high quality, so I need to give them a higher multiple for that. So long way to go. Of course, we cannot predict what Mr. Market will do, which means sophisticated and other investors. But the perception seems to be changing positively, and we think it will be bank by bank. While the index, PSU Bank Index, seems to be doing well, but that is mostly driven by the top two banks, right, which are nearly 50% of the PSU Index because of their larger market caps. But we think that it will be bank by bank, and naturally, the larger banks are going to be re-rated first before Mr. Market moves to the smaller, mid-sized and smaller ones.
Do you share the same optimism for PSUs at large as well, or is it just the PSBs that you're, betting on right now?
No, of course. I mean, overall, people are now looking at a lot of PSUs. The negative perception is slowly changing. And we have seen the defense sector doing extremely well. We have been very strong proponents of the listed defense sector, which is a majority of, a lot of good ones are PSUs, and extremely strong on their capital efficiencies. Surprisingly, what people think that PSUs don't work efficiently, but a lot of these, as shown by their, return on capital and margins and growth and so on. So surprisingly, these are growing at 20% plus, a lot of them, and extremely strong on their capital efficiencies, which means return on capital, etc. This applies to the defense as well as the railway PSUs. Extremely strong order books for the next several.
Yeah, certainly. Well, looks like it's a thumbs up for both the PSU banks as well as public sector enterprises at large, especially defense and railway plays. Mr. Gupta, thank you so much once again for joining us and for sharing your insights of this entire sector with us and our viewers. Moving back to markets once again and talking technicals with Shivangi Sarda. Shivangi, a lot of queries have piled up, so let's quickly address them. Parminder Sidhu wants your view on Hindalco, and very strong momentum seen there last 2 months from 310, 312 odd rupees. It has gained more than $100 per share. Good 20-25% gains coming there, and tell us, what do you foresee? Is that likely to build onto these gains, or could there be a minor blip before it again resumes that trajectory upwards?
Yes, so looking at Hindalco, it's been quite a run up from 300 levels, and I feel there was some resistance at 444 levels around, so there can be some retracement that can be seen around 409 levels, but then from these levels there will be again a very good run up from here from 409-10 levels, but taking into consideration that this pack comes from the metal family, which is quite volatile, and we should keep in mind the stop losses in mind while trading in this sector.
Okay, all right. Next query is from Nishit Kapoor. He wants your views on IEX. At 170 levels, what do you think? Where is it headed?
So IEX have been quite a lot of in weakness from the last many months. Since April, we did not see quite a lot of positive action over here, but recently it spurt up with volume and price. So I believe there will be some kind of a positive action over here. But again, we need to look out. If it surpasses above 177, the momentum is going to continue, or else we would see slight retracement from its downtrend.
Okay, all right. Next query is from Abhilash, and he wants your view on the best pharma stock for short term to invest at current positions. Tell us any of these pharma names that stand out for you?
So looking at any of the pharma names, pharma stocks have been one stocks which are quite tricky and volatile because of the news sensitivity that they hold. But again, if you talk about the entire pack, I believe Sun Pharma is one pick which is quite promising, and right now it is consolidating in a range, but with some sort of long build up which was seen from the last two sessions. This is one stock which can move up to maybe 940 levels.
Okay. All right. I hope our viewers are taking note of the stocks within the pharma basket. Meanwhile, Arun Srinivas has posted a comment. What's your suggestions and advice on HDFC Life? Is it the current level to enter or add more after yesterday's rise in the stock price? In fact, last 1 month, the stock has seen some positive momentum after being quiet for very long. So tell us, do you see some more action coming by on this counter?
The entire HDFC group was quite active yesterday, and we saw quite a lot of positive action over here. In fact, these were driving a lot of non-banking financial space as well. And looking at HDFC Life in particular, there is some resistance at 580 levels. But once this crosses, it can see the continuation of the momentum. But the way the volumes have risen and the open interest have added on the long side, the stock is quite promising. So one can look out and one can take a buy position in this.
Okay, all right. What about IT stocks, Shivangi? Kalki Murthy has posted and a comment, and he wants to know if it's the right time to buy IT stocks. Any of these names, whether from the large cap or the mid cap universe, that look attractive at current levels?
Current levels, we always talk about sectoral shift and how we should participate in the sectors which are in focus right now. And IT is one pack which is not in focus as of now in the moment. So I believe we could avoid IT stocks. Even the heavyweight stocks or the mid cap stocks, they are consolidating and kind of in a neutral range. So we could avoid this stock as of now at the moment and focus on banking relatively.
Okay, all right. So, and avoid on IT right now. Maybe look at banking and even pharma. Shivangi has, flagged off some bets there. But what about your own trading ideas, Shivangi? What are the stocks that you are watching out for?
So, the stocks which I'm watching out, the first pick would be from the FMCG space. So, yesterday we saw quite a lot of positive action over here in this entire space. And one pick which is quite promising is Bata India. So, this stock, recently touched 2000 levels, and after a slight retracement is again, moved in the positive direction and is again ready to move further upwards. So, I believe there is upside potential of, 2040 levels over here, and one could buy with a stop loss of 1935. My second pick would be Tata Power, which is given a breakout of its inverted head and shoulder pattern on daily scale. And the way it formed, longer lower shadow yesterday, it indicates that the buying interest is intact at support zones. So this stock is definitely a buy with a stop loss of 230 and a target of 245. My third and final pick would be from the auto space, which is Eicher Motors. This stock is cheering at its lifetime high zones and is continuously moving upward, in a upward sloping trend line on weekly frame. It is taking support near its 50-day exponential moving average and is forming a higher base as it moves up. So this stock would be a buy, considering all the long build-up which is seen in this stock, with a target of 34.70 and stop loss of 32.70.
All right, three names from three very varied spaces: Eicher Motors, Tata Power and Bata. Take your pick. Thank you so much, Shivangi, for joining us and for helping our viewers out as always. Pleasure chatting with you. With that, we're going to wrap it up right here on Morning Trade. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. Markets with Santo and CJ comes up next.